Mic check, life check. With Haley Jensen.
Welcome back this week with our review of Dancing with the Stars, episode 4 of Disney Night. I didn't think it could get crazier, but it got crazier. Starting off, everything was immaculate in their opening number. It featured the Beauty and the Beast, I think their America tour cast, or at least Lumiere. Impeccable choreography. It was done by the one and only Mandy Moore, same choreographer that does the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and countless of other things. She's very well versed in all things choreography, and she's throughout the industry. Incredible opener. It was so fun to see Sasha, who apparently, I don't know, based on my comment reading, I don't know if this is 100% true or not, or true, that I believe Mark Ballas was having a back injury. This could be totally incorrect, but based on what I was reading and the gossip was that Mark Ballas had a back injury and didn't want to make things worse, and so he ended up not being in that opening number, and Sasha stepped in. And that was the best thing in general, because everyone's been yearning and wanting Sasha so badly. And quite honestly, without getting into it too much, obviously the whole Jen and Jan pairing, but more specifically Jan, that he has been having kind of a slow start to the whole Dancing with the Stars pro-ness. And out of the two of them, people are missing Sasha. So that's to put it very politely. So fun seeing him in the opening number. It was a great number. I thought it was just so well done. And just a very wonderful, fabulous way to start the Disney night. Starting off, I'm just going to go down the list. I watched my whole new thing of doing these Dancing with the Stars recaps and thoughts is I end up watching the episode at least 3 or 4 times. So the first time I watch it just pure out of enjoyment. That is my time to shine. I even made a TikTok about it. And I just sit there, watch it with very genuine, just absorbing and thoughts. And so the second time through, I start to take notes. The third time is usually after a couple days because I've seen so many reactions on social media. And based on what other people are seeing, I will like to go back and watch and see the things that I didn't see before because they found them pointed out behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, I don't know. So I do that. So I watch Dancing with the Stars a lot. So with that being said, let's go through the recap. So first up was Dylan and Danny and Daniela. They did the Life is a Highway dance, which usually is very predictable that at least one couple does this song and dance. I feel like obviously a lot of people were rooting for him to do something with High School Musical, which he alluded to in an interview after the performance and said, oh, well, if we make it through till next week, maybe that's something that might be on its way, pretty much. Which is funny because since then it's been released that he's actually dancing to Rewrite the Stars, also something that his famous celebrity, Zac Efron, made famous, popular, whatever. And so it's kind of funny that he replied with that because that's not 100% true, but I think he just kind of knew that that's what the people wanted. So in a way, yes, High School Musical, but not really. So that was just kind of funny to me. But anyway, as for the actual performance, judging him now after a couple of weeks and very not face value, but more intricately, I think he is a great performer. And he has very good technique for a guy. I think that he does take the corrections and implies them and has gotten better week after week. Because sometimes there's just some guys that come on the show, they don't ever improve. Cough, cough. Riley and Harry Jazzy. Anyway, Harry Jazzy. But that's just an example. Anyway, so then with everything else, how he performs, he seems very invested and wants to improve. And the whole implications that some people have been comparing him to, which is the Danny Alaveda, I can't say the last name, that Danny and Whitney, when they were paired a couple seasons back, I feel like they are similar. Obviously, they dance differently, invested differently, but I do think that Dylan improves week after week. And I think he'll only get better here on out. And I do enjoy watching him perform. And I think that Daniela is doing very well with teaching him, because I can't say that for all pros. They can all be good. They can put out a good performance. But when it comes to teaching and helping guide their partner, celebrity partner, or student, I think Daniela does a very good job. A lot of people do like to use the excuse, and I did last week, I know. I don't say this full-heartedly, like that this is their entire performance and relationship. Yes, you naturally watch Daniela, but I think that Dylan is holding his own well enough where you're not just watching Daniela and he's hiding behind her. So I think that they will have the capability. I don't know if they'll make top 4. I feel like if he keeps getting better, they could have the potential, but we'll see. And that's something that Carrie-Anne had said last week, just saying that he has the potential to go far and make it to the finals kind of thing, because he keeps improving. Overall, judges' comments, Derek was pretty half and half on technique, just saying that it was half good, half but that he wants better head control when it comes to the steps, but overall a good quick step. Bruno thinks that he can go to the finale, so there you have it. Bruno thinks it's possible, and that he's impressed that he works on every correction that they do give him, and I would agree with that. I have seen that to be true as well. I think that he definitely does give impressive footwork, that he's not sloppy and he strikes the footwork, and that's something that Bruno was saying as well. Carrie-Anne says that he understands each movement very well, and that's very impressive, because a lot of celebrities don't get that. and that is impressive to me. And that Daniela's choreography is just very fitting, and I love that for him, especially because sometimes the pros will choreograph something and it's awkward to the celebrity, and I think it's just very well fitting to Dylan, and that it allows him to flourish in it. So I love that. Also super excited for the Halloween episode to come up, because Daniela crushes it every single time and usually wins like an Emmy or something for it. So excited. I am very intrigued what they do, especially because with Dylan, like obviously they're going to do something scary. I mean, maybe not, but I'm very intrigued to see how Dylan is able to play into a scary role. So whatever theme they do, I'm excited to see it. So also something that was all over social media and was so funny is that the whole theme of their dance being cars, and Daniela played I've literally only seen Cars like once. And what is it? Not Mater, that's him. Lightning McQueen. Duh. Anyway, she embodied Lightning McQueen, but it's funny because he's a race car. He doesn't actually have headlights or taillights or whatever. And so on her dress, I think it's actually a jumpsuit, she had like little bumper stickers as taillights or something like that. And I just thought that was so funny. So very funny, cute, whatever. Overall, their score was 23 out of 30. They got a 7 and an 8 and an 8. And that does put them like above average when it comes to like the pack, but they kind of have to walk the line a little bit week to week based on what other people do. They're never like a for sure top scorer. They're usually not very low, but obviously as we start to trim down contestants week by week, that's going to change. So going forward, Danielle and Pasha. Her hair is absolutely adorable. I enjoyed watching their performance so much. One, because Danielle has so much energy and just such good vibes, and her and Pasha make a great team. Honestly, here's the thing. I will be the first to admit, I usually haven't given the time of day to Pasha before. I think he is a pro that kind of flies under the radar. He doesn't have this huge personality. He's very talented, though. I will say that. But anyway, this pairing specifically, I think, has brought so much more energy and emotion out of him, and just kind of like fun-loving energy. And I have loved it so much. And whenever that sad day that they do go home, I will be so sad, because I love watching Danielle perform as well as Pasha. They have just such lighthearted, happy dances, and I love it. Also, I'm very intrigued what they will do for Halloween as well. Actually, that's all of them. But anyway, as for just overall thoughts, they have and I will say they have the best facials out of everyone, and they just have very organic happiness and aren't like tryhards. They are trying hard when it comes to how they want to perform and do well, but they're not trying to just beat the competition and one up everyone else. I love them. They're so cute. Anyway, as for kind of the cons, they have a lot of pros here. She doesn't always hit the movement super strong, but she is great in frame. I will say that, which is kind of weird because that's usually kind of the opposite, or people that are having like hyperextended hitting movements kind of thing. But that's the only thing. She's very soft, but regardless, I do enjoy watching her perform every single time. Bruno thought that they did have a little hiccup in their dance, and Bruno commented and said that they were off timing in one little spot, but that he thinks it's so fun, which is true. Carrie-Anne made the comment that they have great body contact, which I would say that's kind of hand in hand with the frame comment that I made, that they do. And so it's funny because they have they have a lot of pro cons, which makes very good performance, rooting, underdog, all the above, because they have the potential, and week to week, all I will see is just more and more improvement. And the other comment that I had made, that she looks great, it continues. I think that she's losing weight week to week, and I love that for her. It's a pro for her, for sure. Anyway, Derek said personality is a strength. Overall, the quick step was great, but it got out of sync a little bit. So that's the only con. They did survive. Obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Who Went Home, we'll go to it. Up next, Scott and Riley. I have so many opinions for Scott and Riley. He is doing a lot better, and I will just say that given that he can be in his happy, quote-unquote, gay element, the dance that they did, there was a couple little hiccups. So there was one part where there was a missed hand placement, and even Riley got a little flustered. And so that was kind of unfortunate because I feel like the pros cannot mess up ever. And when they do, it looks even more embarrassing because it's like, that was your fault, not the celebrities. But overall, the comments by Carrie-Anne, she said they were razzle-dazzled with the salsa, and that overall they just have such a confident aura about them. And I will say Scott, since the previous week, he has gotten more confident. And sorry, I didn't mention before, going back to Danielle and Pasha, they did what was the dance? It was from Jungle Book, I Want to Be Like You. Scott and Riley, they did, which this one was very looked at as anticipated, I would say, but as Sharpay and Ryan Evans from High School Musical. And so they danced to Bop to the Top. So with the comment that he was able to be in his happy little gay element, it's no surprise or no hidden secret that Ryan Evans is gay. And that only comes out, I think, later in the TV show, High School Musical, the series, that Ryan is either dating or married to Scott's character, and that's their little gay love marriage thing. Anyway, so it was very fitting for Scott to do this in general. It's going to get to a point where he can't just always play like a gay character, I guess. I don't know. There's something to say with ballroom that you have to be a strong, not necessarily manly man, but like a strong man. You can be gay. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of spots for that. But he isn't very strong, manly man-wise when it comes to his performance aspect or hitting the movements. And it was funny, some comment on TikTok, somebody was saying that he suffers from long, lanky girl syndrome, long, lanky limb syndrome or something like that. I mean, he can't control his very long extremities. And so unless that changes going forward, I think they're not going to do super great. I love that he had so much fun with his dance last week and this one, the Bop to the Top dance, but I don't know if they're going to make the long haul. I think that Riley has a lot of voters and fan base that will get them far, but as for Scott and his performance, I don't know if that will get him super far. Okay, my favorite dance of the night, Alix and Val. They danced to Sleeping Beauty, Once Upon a Dream. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, Alix had the Maleficent horns, and even Val's wife, Jenna, was Sleeping Beauty at the beginning, and she basically just passes out and falls on the ground. But overall, the cinema of the entire dance and cinematography was gorgeous. It sucked you in. It felt not surface level. It felt so encapsulatingly, storytellingly, I don't know what I'm saying, but it was great. I thought her performance was great. She was strong. She told a story. It had emotion. And overall thoughts, one, her horns were epic. They looked incredible. She just gave off such a professional level. And the entire time you were just sucked into the dance. And even at this one point at the very end, Val goes in to like kiss her and she's like, no, and kind of shows him off. Anyway, the first time I watched it, I literally verbally, I was alone at the time. I was screaming at the TV, kiss, just kiss. Obviously, Val is happily married to Miss Jenna, who is passed out in the back on the ground. But you just get so wrapped up in the dance. You're like, just do it. Just kiss. Anyway, obviously that was not going to happen. But that's the point. That's the point of how intense the dance is and how well, like, obviously it's not all based around this kiss thing, but it's just wraps you up in the dance. And it's just so impressive. Anyway, my top vote, it should have gotten all 9s, if not 10s. It should have deserved 10s, but we were very early. I understand that, to not give out 10s yet, which I've been quite impressed up to this point that they have not given out a single 10 yet. Thank goodness. They have done that in the past where they give out 10s way too early. So they have held true to their word up until this point. So I'm happy that hasn't been an issue yet, but definitely should have scored higher. That was my biggest complaint. Overall comments from the judges. Derek said it was very impressed with the control, the pivots, and definitely thinks that this was her best dance. Bruno says that every movement was clear storytelling and very controlled. Carrie Ann said, on a roll, and exclamation point. Just, they're on a roll. Anyway, 10 out of 10. I thought they were incredible. Okay, up next, Hilaria and Gleb danced to a Star Wars cantina dance, I guess. I was very confused by their storytelling. There was a guy and the girl, and I guess it was Star Wars characters, because they're kind of dressed up as, like, Obi-Wan and Leia. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, they did their dance. Technique was good. Hilaria in the package, if I remember correctly. I don't want to confuse it week to week, but she was talking, I think, about TikTok and how it responded to her. I don't know. Anyway, she was very invested, wanting to do this journey, blah, 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 blah. The dance was pretty good, for the most part, technique-wise. But like I kind of stated before in past episodes, she doesn't draw you in. It's very selfish, her dancing, the way that it comes off, and doesn't feel like a lot of people are rooting for her. I definitely am not. And spoiler alert, here we go. They get kicked off. Yay! America came together for the one thing that really mattered this week, which was to get them kicked off. So thank goodness. But the funny thing before that happened, because that was at the end of the episode, the funny thing that happened is when they were getting the judges' comments after their dance, Carrie Ann and Bruno had said their bit, and which I didn't even make notes on what they said, but they said something. Anyway, but both of their comments were positive. So then Derek gave his bit. He was the last one to talk and was critiquing them and saying, like, oh, something wasn't as good. And Carrie Ann and Bruno stood up and was like, shh, no, you're wrong. Which they don't do that for any other situation, couple, whatever. And so there is this whole controversy on TikTok saying, like, were they paid off by Alec Baldwin, or like, what's going on? And so that was funny to me. I think to an extent that the fact that she lasted this far, I think he was either paying to Dancing with the Stars. I don't know. We'll never know. But that was a little weird. But whatever. Anyway, moving forward, Andy and Emma, they had their dance to Ratatouille, where Emma was very much dressed up as a little mouse rat, and Andy was the chef. And their dance was good. Was kind of a step back to me compared to their previous week, because their previous week was very intense and theatrical and heartwarming and moving, and then this one's just like kind of like a little silly dance. And the fact that he's still around, shocking. The fact that he beat Hilaria. Obviously, the world wanted Hilaria and Gleb to go, but for that reason, it wasn't shocking that they beat them. But talent-wise, they should have gone home first. But votes are votes. So they obviously will be kept around for at least one more week here. I think they will be the next to go. But props to him for outlasting Hilaria. I do love his energy and commitment, though, to his dances. He's a fun watch, but I think it's about time that gotta wrap it up. Sorry, Andy. I hope you've had fun for all the time that you've been on the show. I think you've done fantastic, but it's time for you to get a break. But yeah, they're being very nice. The judges gave him all 6s, and that was the lowest score of the night. And they also commented that he has poor technique. So it is what it is, but it's what it is. Okay, moving on to the just most confusing couple to me, Robert and Whitney. They came out the gate first week and were incredible. Everyone was just swearing up and down that they would win immediately. This week was a lot of drama, and a lot of it we saw after the show had ended. So, and I'll get into that actually right now. Whitney had done an interview with her fellow pros that are already kicked off, and they were asking about the song choice, that it was not a great song choice with, I don't remember their style dance, but it wasn't fast enough. And she said, well, that's above my pay grade, aka she did not have any input with the song. So obviously half the internet's making the comment, well, yeah, it's because Robert voices a character, they danced to Zootopia, voices a character in Zootopia 2. And so obviously Disney doing the cross promotion is not a shock to anyone. That's naturally what they're going to do. But it was a horrible song to do their dance to, and it needed to be sped up or something. It was just a lot of like showiness and not as a lot of dancing that made sense, especially with her choreography ability. It was just kind of unfortunate. And yeah, overall, my comments were that this dance wasn't overwhelming, and I would like to see him get into a spot like where he was week 1. I think even last week with the whole shirt off thing and people making shirts left and right of him with his shirt off, like it got very gimmicky, and he was so good week 1, like toes pointed, just everything. That's where they need to get back to. But overall, he is a great male lead in regards to dancing with her as well. I hope next week we'll see something closer to week 1 and less problems and gimmicks, and because yeah, it's getting kind of messy. Okay, up next, Elaine and Alan. Oh my gosh. Alan, again, unrecognizable. Last year, he was freaking Encanto donkey. This year, he's an alien from Space Mountain. And there was this whole, subreddit pretty much of that's not Alan. It was somebody else because you could barely recognize him. It was Alan. But just crazy. I don't know if, he signed up to be the special effects makeup guinea pig because it happens every time. But overall, I absolutely loved watching the dance. Elaine is incredible for her age. She's freaking 54 years old, and she has so much charisma and happiness and energy, and they just put on such a great performance and show. There's so many different layers to it, like the story evolves, and overall, I very much enjoyed anytime they dance, and that the fact that they have so much technique and placement is incredible as well, because I feel like you can have all this energy and charisma, but if you don't have the technique and placement still, it just gets kind of crazy. But the fact that she still has that at 54 years old, incredible. And Carrie Ann even made that comment and said it was her best dance. So I hope she sticks around for a long time because she's just proving to be so talented. And so yeah, good job, Elaine. Can't wait till next week for you. Next up, Whitney and Mark. I'm a broken record. I don't think they deserve the scores that they keep getting. I think it's just so much smoke and mirrors. Once again, my husband, one of the times I was watching with him, and he said once again, why do they always have the weirdest camera work? And I think it's, and even a part where she's flipping her hair around, it's it's hairography, it's illusions. It's just weird to me. I think they're just keeping her around for ratings because of all the celebrities, it's most important, I would say, to keep the Mom Talk show alive and well, because I think they're going to release a new season here pretty soon. But yeah, I think it's rigged. I'd bet money on it. The singers that Dancing with the Stars has to do all the covers for the songs that they don't have the permissions for, which apparently is the Hamilton one too. The singers in the soundtrack was so bad which I'm not saying they're bad singers, just the arrangement or the tone, or I don't even know. It was just so bad. And I just struggled watching this dance. And it wasn't impressive. It really wasn't. They didn't have all that much content in the dance. It was just a lot of like structured place to place, big hand gesture movement stuff. Like, it just was not impressive to me. So, yeah. And the fact they got a higher score than Alix and Val, insane. And there's a whole community on the internet right now that is just saying that. Like, you have to be kidding that Alix and Val got scored less than that dance, because that's not even comparable. So it's what it is. Can't go back. I hope going forward the agenda will change and we'll stop getting this rigged Dancing with the Stars season, because it's absolutely ridiculous and they need to be on an even playing field when it comes to voting. So yeah, in my notes I even wrote it was more entertaining to watch Elaine, Danielle, who played a monkey, and Alix's performance when it comes to the happiness, passion, intensity, and adventure of the performance. Whitney and Mark's was just very junior high to me, like middle school performance. So I don't know why they keep getting scored so highly. It feels very rigged. But yeah, I think that, I don't know why the world thinks her dances are so fantastic. I think it's just based off the show Mom Talk, or Secret Lives, Mormon Wives. And yeah. However, if I were to give her compliments, I would say that she does hit moves strong and knows what she's doing, but overall the choreography and the performance is not that crazy to me. The next thing that got a little spicy this week was Jordan and Ezra. They did very good with their performance. They did Princess and the Frog, so Jordan was Tiana and Ezra was the prince. And I think that Jordan's the cutest little performer. She has so many great emotions, which is funny because I feel like a lot of people in the media have been painting her very like stone-faced, mean, whatever. But I think she has so many cute, wonderful emotions when she performs as well, which is when it really counts. So I think that they are just a great pairing because they both are very like high energy emotion wise. And they do well, like structurally and with choreography, and they're strong in that category and they work very well together. I do think that it is a sin, of course, not to use I'm Almost There song because that's the main one from the movie. However, I'm wondering if the reason why they didn't was because they were worried about how it lived on TikTok a while back and was tied to sexual connotations a little bit. So I'm wondering if that's why they chose not to go with it, or if they didn't want to do it because it's always done, or for the stereotype just was because she's a black princess kind of thing, and she's black. Oh my gosh, well, but it's like you're not avoiding that because you're still doing it from the same movie. So it's like, and it's the same princess. So I'm very intrigued why they chose that. A lot of people made that same comment as well, but I don't know. We'll never know. Overall, though, I think to an extent I enjoyed this dance a lot more than, once again, Whitney and Mark's. And I think that they should have scored higher. You know, I'll say it how it is. Derek made the comment that the footwork is very sharp, which I think was a very good comment. Bruno said that she was like dance royalty, which I thought that was cute. And Carrie Ann said that it's very animated, but it's also very authentic, the way that she portrayed the character and the performance. So I agreed. The crazy little spice of drama. Actually, I'll get into it in a little bit. So we'll come back to them. Anyway, up next, Jen and Jan. I said John. Anyway, overall, I was very impressed by the fact that she did a back walkover because I thought she was wearing heels at the time until I realized she was barefoot. So half credit on that one. She was Princess Jasmine and he played the genie, which I thought was kind of a fun pairing because usually they would do Princess Jasmine and the prince. So I thought that was kind of fun. A little bit more to look at. Jan was painted blue, very, very blue. Although he has some very impressive body that goes along with that too. I saw a behind the scenes video of him getting all of his makeup done and everything. And all the comments were like, he literally has these rock hard abs sitting down in the makeup chair, like not flex. Where can I get that? I would like that body. Anyway, very impressive to me. Overall, the dance, though, I think that her dance the previous week had more bang and pizzazz. She was wearing the gold glittery dress. Like, it was a lot more gorgeous in your face. This one was kind of flying under the radar for me. She looks like she had fun doing it for sure. However, it wasn't as impressive. And I think a lot of people online as well were saying that it has not been the best move that Jan has been a pro. Obviously, he's new to it. He's learning as well, but it has definitely kind of hurt Jen in the long run, and that she got gypped, really, having him as a partner. I will be very intrigued if he stays around next season. I don't know, because obviously him coming on the show was bringing a lot of Taylor Swift fans, like a whole lot of them, into the ballroom scene of voting and everything, so definitely was a strategic move done by production. I'm just curious if they will keep him, because he's good. He's a great performer, but as a pro and an instructor, when they both were new, not the best situation. He should have started on troupe or something, but I can see why they probably didn't have him do that because of him being so high level celebrity in a way. That would have been probably a little degrading maybe for him. I don't know. Okay, the other thing that I noticed though was kind of interesting to me was that the judges really didn't have anything technically positive to say about the performance. Carrie had said that it didn't hit her over the head with, I guess, impressiveness or something like that, and that she wants to see something more hard technically. And Derek had made the comment that it was a beautiful back walkover, very impressive back walkover, which just saying that slight comment and not saying anything else is just kind of a cop-out in my opinion, because he didn't want to say something worse, which makes me think, once again, the mom talk celebrities are getting a little extra push when it comes to staying on the show, or a little extra favoritism. So, yeah. It just kind of keeps proving to be true. Julianne Hough had asked, so this part was a little spicy, and I saw this on TikTok. So Julianne Hough had asked Jen right before she got her scores what the air in the studio was based on last week's elimination, which Jen did not sign up to have to give the very messy response to that, but she did give a very good PR answer that just said everyone did great and that's what they should focus on. And yeah, so overall, I thought that was pretty dirty. I don't think Julianne Hough created that question or asked that question, but like that was super messy to have Jen deal with that, which I think makes me laugh because it reminds me how things are for her on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I feel like she's always like having to deal with messy things or accusations. So I'm like, the fact that they brought that to the ballroom to her specifically made me laugh. So anyway, based on voting, I would say, obviously, the whole Whitney and Mark thing, I would put Alix and Val to the top. But next on the chopping block, I would say Andy's going to leave next week. But obviously this week it was Hilaria and Gleb. Obviously, I don't think anyone was that surprised about it. It was all over the internet that we all wanted her to go. And yeah, overall, I'd say besides the pros, best dance of the night, the Tron dance by Troupe. Incredible. It was so intense. They're all so buff and technically just precise, and it gave me goosebumps pretty much. I just thought it was so impressive. And the special effects of them like walking through the lasers, that was so cool. I wish they'd use, like, if they have that type of special effects, I wish they'd use them more instead of kind of the gimmicky things that they do. Anyway, so impressive. 10 out of 10. I hope Haley, I love Haley, of course, Haley, my namesake, but Haley on Troupe, she should be a pro ASAP. She gives such Jenna vibes, but in her own way. Obviously, they're different people, but I think they are incredible and would love to see her as a pro. Just definitely the best dance, in my opinion, besides Alix and Val's. Overall, here we go. We're coming back to the Ezra and Jordan TikTok drama. He has since, and I'm pretty sure I read it within the last 24 hours here, Ezra had to post something on his story, how things are. because there was this whole internet drama about two different things with Jordan and Ezra. First, right after they either got their scores or right before their scores, I think it was right after, Julianne Hough did a promotion regarding the Dancing with the Stars tour with all the pros. And so because of it, Jordan had just barely received her score with Ezra. And Ezra's part of that pro tour group. And so I'm assuming a producer probably screamed at Jordan or was like, get off, like, blah, blah, because they needed to do their little group huddle shot smiling like, hey, we'll see you all on tour. Obviously, Jordan's not going to be there. But anyway, so Jordan, I think, either looks like hurt/confused, which I don't think she was hurt. It was probably just a RBF confused. Oh, okay, I have to go. And it looked like she was mad. That's BS. Anyway, so the internet blew it up out of proportion, saying that, oh, it was so rude. They kind of shoved her off to the side. But she's not going to be there. It was people making things way more bloated out of proportion than they needed to be. So that was super dumb, for one. Okay, the second thing was that when they were waiting to see if they made it through to the next week, Ezra and Jordan got their names read that they did, and like all the couples, they all go, yay, oh my gosh, so excited. And Ezra turns, picks up Jordan and hugs her and kind of lifts her. And she's like, okay, now put me down. And you hear that picked up on a hot mic. And so Ezra kind of like widened his eyes like, ah, like kind of thing, which I'm sure he's just a very expressive guy. And like, that's his thing. He's just overly expressive and he's always making eyeballs and whatever. That's normal. But the way that people took it, and once again blew it out of proportion, was that Jordan was just being like mean and controlling, like, put me down. I don't know. Which, it was funny because I saw so many different little intricate people take their own thoughts on this, which obviously they don't really need to, but it was fun to read. Anyway, one of my favorite ones was that somebody had wrote, as a fellow short girl, we get picked up so often. She probably was like annoyed because she's always dealing with this. So she doesn't want to be seen as inferior or like a toddler, you know? And so she's like, well, put me down. She wanted to be in control of the situation. Duh. Everyone wants to be in control of their own bodies. Duh. So that being blown out of proportion was so dumb. So dumb. And I don't care if Ezra reacted, but apparently it's gotten so bad that Ezra had to put out a public statement saying like, yo, this is how this happened. Stop. So I remember seeing the Jordan thing, put me down, whatever. And I didn't think twice about it initially, but then over the week I've seen just so many people make comments about it in videos and whatever. So it's not that deep. Get over it. It's not you. It's not your body. It's just a show. Move on. Ironically, though, Daniela and Dylan, so they got called through as well. And I don't remember if I commented or not, but they smacked heads at the end of their actual dance when they did a pose. I don't know if that was last week or this week. I don't remember. They all blend together. But I think it was this week. And they smacked heads and they were like laughing and dying about it in the dance. But then they did it again right when they got called through saying like, hey, Danielle and Dylan. And they smacked faces again and they just started dying. Like, I get it's probably a height difference thing, which is kind of funny. I wonder if Daniela has it in her veins that she has to jump up super high because of her last two partners being freakishly tall. Like, Dylan's still tall, but she's always like jumping up and like they smack. Anyway, thought that was funny. They have a height issue clearly. But yeah, Hilaria got eliminated and obviously when she was called, she goes down to do the interview with Alfonso and Julianne with Gleb next to her. And Alfonso says, hey, how do you feel about this getting eliminated? She grabs the mic and takes it out of his hand, like without skipping a beat. It was so funny because Julianne's like, gives like this like side look to Alfonso, like, why'd she do that? Like kind of thing. Like, she doesn't have manners at all. She does things her way, and I think it's just her celebrity rich girl syndrome that she thinks that she's better than everyone else and she deserves it's her way or the highway kind of thing. Because the way she did it, it was very inappropriate. Like, Alfonso wasn't like, here, hold the mic. He was directing it so she could speak into it and have a mic kind of thing. Anyway, it was very unprofessional and uncalled for, and she was butthurt. So be it. Anyway, The other comment, though, that I've seen the past couple week or so is how much that in that last interview and even in an interview after the show that her and Gleb look like they're like wanting to kiss kind of thing. So, which brings me to one of my final points. Do we think that Hilaria and Gleb hooked up, had a thing, had an affair throughout this process? Because the last time we saw Gleb, he was doing that with somebody else we know. Little Brooke Snader kind of thing. So, and apparently, I need to watch that show because everyone has been talking about it. It's Love Thy Nader on Hulu. And yeah, the fact that Gleb is super messy in general, wouldn't put it past it. I think Hilaria has 7 kids, right? And I'm sure she loves her husband to an extent, but I could also see her getting some tail somewhere else, especially when you're dancing in that type of intense proximity to someone else like that. I think it happened. Obviously, we'll see if there's a sequel to the Gleb show. Because apparently he's on the Love Thy Nader show. Anyway, I think it happened. They did look like they wanted to kiss, but they were just like, too much passion. Gotta reel it back in a little bit. But overall, that's the Dancing with the Stars drama, I would say. I'm sure there's a lot more that I didn't see, maybe. If so, leave a comment. Let me know what's going on, because I am very entertained by it. And I'm excited for this coming week, though. This week, I don't know if it's their memorable, I think it's a dedication night. I think that's what it is, to someone in their lives that they respect, that they love, whatnot. And I know that Dylan Efron is going to be doing, I think he's doing the Can I Have This Dance song sorry, I already corrected that. That was what people were guessing. No, it's Rewrite the Stars, and it's dedicated to his sister. So, as for the other ones, I'll report back next episode what happened, what was done. But I hope that we can have a less rigged night, because this night seemed pretty rigged, just like the other ones. So moving forward, I want to get a little bit more smooth with podcasting and try to see if I could push out 2 episodes a week. That would be cool. I obviously have a toddler and life is very busy, but if I can make it happen, then I can do just maybe a lifestyle kind of like weekly update recap thing along with my Dancing with the Stars episodes, because I like to kind of do both, and I want to keep them separate because I feel like if I have both in the one, it gets kind of messy. So subscribe, follow, and maybe we'll see that coming your way sooner than you think. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe. Anything you can do helps. Share it with a friend, and we will see you next time. Bye.